You know what freedom actually is? Freedom is our capacity to solve all of our own problems. Any one of those problems you can't solve for yourself is to the degree you aren't free. Then you need to find out how to solve that problem for yourself. When you can do that, you don't need to ask permission from any man, woman, or child.
This physical body, this avatar, is only a vessel. The best way I can put it is your radio receives a signal. Who we actually are is the signal. This avatar just facilitates the signal communicating with other users and listeners. We are spirit. And just like any device, because we are merely devices, one thing I do is I say thank you for this solid vehicle that I have the use of every day to the source, because this is only a vehicle. I, who I am at my core, lives in the cloud that we call the etheric realm. My job is to master my imagination, to emotionally feel everything that I want and move towards it, to take it from the etheric realm where I live in the cloud and bring it back down here in the material through the use of my vehicle. When you understand it at such a basic level, it doesn't matter whether you're a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, a Buddhist, how you meet the higher consciousness is irrelevant. What you need to know is that the gnosis, the higher consciousness, is there. And through that higher consciousness, your spirit needs to interact. So your spirit is the frequency that is broadcast to the radio, this show. If you bust open a radio, you're not going to see guys playing the violin and the guitar because they're not there. It's just a vehicle. And the signal will continue even if the radio's smashed. It's just that the radio can't receive the signal. And that's what our spirit is. Now, our soul is something wholly different. The soul is at source. And our spirit, through the silver cord, connects the soul to communicate. The reason I said what I said in the first video about going inside is to understand and gain the communication at a spirit level with soul. So when we get our downloads from our ancestor spirits, it's because we've tapped into this communication. Once we understand and we get the concept of the frequency, we tap into that frequency. So for me, I access it through water. That could be in a bath, it could be in the shower. But as soon as that water hits me, I've got a clear communication where I can hear, I can ask questions and I get the answers back directly. So if I have a problem, that problem is eradicated through me being in the shower and communicating with the ancestor voices. You are possibly already getting these downloads. You may or may not have identified what they are. But once you start to move intentionally to picking up these downloads, you become vastly more powerful. And for any challenge that you have, there is an answer inside you, the libraries that you contain. And our ancestors want us to win. So it start making sense when you were trying to do things and go down roads, possibly with people that you loved, that nothing for the love of God, how many times you tried, would work. It's because they knew you had a greater calling. You had a more divine purpose. And had it worked with that person, and how it would have been sabotage, you might have become so disgusted with even your own purpose that you wouldn't do it. And you know what your people did? They protected you. So the elements and the frequency of your environment was bent in a way that what you were doing could never work. But that was your biggest blessing, because it wasn't your time for it to work. So when we hear that, everything is in divine timing. Why is it divine timing? Because we as people, we like to talk about what is the purpose of life, are becoming. We are becoming the ultimate us if we're intentional, or we're programmed and then we're just service units and we're just like batteries. We don't really matter that much. And that's what I mean by the great unwashed. They're just batteries like Duracell, ultimately to be discarded. They don't even care about themselves that much. You know, there's rooms they won't go into that's not for people like us. Who are people like us? We the same? I know my value. There's no room that I can't walk into. There's no room that I can't be conversant with anybody from any background, however intelligent, however spiritually elevated, however philanthropic they are in what they've done in their life, because it's only levels, right? So if I give somebody $1,000 and I want it back, and they give somebody $1 million, it's only levels. But you see, the intention is the same. And that means your heart and your spirit is of the same weight. So don't ever discount yourself based on the scale of somebody's wealth, because it's not the scale of their giving, it's the scale of their wealth. And if you desire that wealth, then that means you've got to get rid of the attributes that are in the way. And you can only do that by accessing spirit. Your spirit, the frequency that you are, once understood and acknowledged, commands. You're not begging like religion, asking. You're commanding. Because your command is to bend the frequency of your environment to your will, to your emotion that you feel. And that is how you create the inevitable outcomes, where you hear me say all the time, your intention times your desire times a high emotional frequency. Now, if you're at a lower vibration, how the hell do you expect to bend frequency of your environment? It has to be high, because high frequency is high momentum, and that push will move all obstacles out of your way. The universe will literally get the fuck out of your way. But you have to know. You have to know the power that you have in your chest, and you have to direct it. So if you've got a bowling ball and you're just going to drop it, how many Skittles is it going to lick down? That's a rhetorical question. You got to be intentional with the bowling ball. You got to be accurate with the bowling ball, and then it's going to do its job and lick down all the pins, right? The hardest part is right at the beginning, getting it right, based on all of the myths that we've been told about what God is, what the universe is, and how we can accomplish through begging on our knees. And that servitude is that. You think I wouldn't encourage people to be slaves if I thought they were going to serve me to give me the ultimate life down here? That's all it is. It's a game. And it's a game, unfortunately, that you've been seduced into being complicit with, because you have to be complicit. So for all of those who passed on after they took an experimental drug in the biggest social experiment that's ever taken place on planet Earth, and experienced complications and blood clots and passed on, they had to be complicit. See, nobody actually could force the injection into you. You had to be complicit. You had to come forward and take it. And in that way, you absolve them of their responsibility, because we are responsible for us. So our spirit must be intentional once we recognize it. And that is how everything you desire is born to you. Now, we've heard it called the secret, or willing these things to you. And it is. It's not how it is described on the surface. going below the surface, you need to master your imagination. So when you hear this term, God said, come to me as a child, not as an idiot. We don't need more naive, well-meaning fools. Come to me as a child. You come with the childlike creativity of your imagination and you become emotional about it. And when you can actually feel it, taste it, it's almost at your fingertips. But that's how you start to draw it towards you and you're moving the obstacles in the universe out of the way. But what you also have to be is in motion. So I've done many things in my life where they look like insurmountable odds. But what I did was I kept it moving. I kept it moving as if I didn't know anything about the obstacles. And you know what happened? The obstacles got the fuck out of the way. They had no choice. I just wasn't aware of the formula for applying my intention times my desire times a high emotional frequency. But the minute that I became aware of that, it changed my whole life. I had a conversation with a gentleman the other day, and I said, I'm the same emotionally every day. And he said, how can you be? And I paused, and I was very intentional about what I said because I didn't want to upset him. And I said, we're not at the same place in life. You see, I'm so protective of my high emotional frequency that I won't allow anything to lower my vibration. If somebody's mad with me, you're going to just see me slink back more and more. I might be confused about their upset. Their upset might be part of a process that they need to get beyond for them. It might have nothing to do with me. You know, sometimes your woman is upset and you can jump in and argue with her, or you can step back and say, baby, I'm listening to you. And just let her vomit out all the vitriol and bile, but have her. Because if you don't have any monkey in that circus, why are you getting embroiled in the circus? Why are you running around in the human monkey chatter? Step back, be objective. And when you're objective, ultimately, your heart is clean, your hands are clean. You're not emotionally embroiled, so you're not going to have any upset, no matter how much upset's on the other side. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to discard it all, and you're going to be loving in the same way as you were before you met the situation. There are people who have seen me do this, who until I actually explain it, it wouldn't be comprehended, because our natural reaction is to become embroiled and to get angry. You frequently hear me say, I don't have any monkey in that circus. And as a byproduct, I'm not going to get drawn into wars, territories, and concerns that aren't mine. You are capable of this. I don't care how reactionary you are at the moment. You're capable of it. Because I'd have been the guy who jumped off the roof. But you know the difference between birds when they learn to fly and they're small, and the eagle of experience? Birds don't jump out the branch to learn to fly. Start from the ground, check it out first. You might drop and smash your beak. Check it out first. So the first thing is becoming conscious of you, your energy, your excess energy, where you're obtuse at times, where people think you're enough. Mastering that is mastering your spirit, because it's all spirit. So the first stage is going inside. The second stage is acknowledging spirit. Third stage, which is like an annex to acknowledging spirit, is mastering the conversation with spirit. And the reason you want to master that conversation with spirit is to gain appreciation of spirit. So where you were formerly begging God, you are now being thankful of your earthly guides and the higher consciousness. And that gratitude forms a relationship that gets you closer and closer and closer to what you desire to accomplish. And when you reach there, you are now qualified to operate at the floor that you desire to be at, because you have sight beyond sight. You see threats, you see characteristics, and you see the beautiful people that are there to enable you on your journey. Now, because reciprocity is a universal law, you have to benefit them as much as they benefit you. But now you'll be qualified.
As Sigmas, we uphold, promote, and preserve our values.